John in Redding, California. Hey, John, what's up?
Yes, I would just like for you to expound on the fact that how Congress did not violate the Logan Act by participating in this last little scenario they had. I don't understand how they didn't violate the Logan Act.
I think the Logan Act says that any first of all, the Logan Act was passed in 1799 during the John Adams administration, next to the last year of John Adams' presidency. And, John Adams had a bunch of political enemies, and the Logan Act, I think, was an attempt to take one of them out. It was only used once in 1803, correct? It hasn't been used since then. If it was used, I'm guessing that whoever used it would argue that, whoever violated it, and was being prosecuted would probably take it to the Supreme Court and say it was an inappropriate or unconstitutional violation of the First Amendment. And the Logan Act essentially says that you may not with a foreign government if you are not an authorized person. I'm of the opinion, and I realize there are people who disagree with me, and they're much more, throw the bums in jail about this. And I'm willing to be convinced, but I haven't seen anything that's convincing that a member of Congress actually does have the authority, does have the right to correspond with a foreign government. They are involved in foreign policy. Now, that said, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. It's like I can walk down the street and make smart-ass remarks at people. I can't, but hey, if somebody punches me out, whose fault is that?
But Tom, let me ask you. I don't mean to cut you, but let me ask you. But it specifically states that you don't have the right to interfere.
Right.
It's not only that they're conversing. There's an interference because they're trying to undermine.
I understand.
So I don't understand how the Logan Act doesn't apply to Congress. I don't understand. So as an individual,
John, it may be that the Logan Act does apply, but the I think the salient factor of it is whether the person is authorized to negotiate with foreign governments, and I could be wrong, but I personally believe that anybody who's elected to Congress, to the federal Congress, is authorized to do so. For example, Jim McDermott and two other Democrats went to Iraq toward the end of 2002 to basically try to highlight for the American people the fact that Saddam Hussein had no weapons of mass destruction and George W. Bush was lying to us. The Republicans went hysterical. I've got an article that's in the Weekly Standard someplace, just going nuts on this stuff. But they weren't yelling Logan Act. They were just saying, don't, you're trying to harm George W. Bush. He's the president. That's not something that you should be doing. Thank you, Danielle. So now this is, and in 1975, this is interesting. This is from the Wikipedia Act. In 1975, Senators John Sparkman and George McGovern were accused of violating the Logan Act when they traveled to Cuba. The State Department concluded, and I quote, The clear intent of the Logan Act is to prohibit unauthorized persons from intervening in disputes between the states and foreign governments. The Logan Act, however, would restrict members of Congress from engaging in discussions with foreign officials in pursuance of their legislative duties under the Constitution. So, there you go, John. I just don't think that you're going to see a successful prosecution. I think that these guys need to be prosecuted in the court of public opinion, and they need to be impeached in the ballot box. But it's we'll see. And I'm really interested to hear from people who tried to call their members of Congress. Thank you, John, for the call.